I'm King, I'm a chef here at the Spruce Eats. I've been cooking for quite a long time. Eating actually for my whole life. And today we're doing one of my favorite dishes, which is Pancit Canton. It's a dish that I grew up eating. My mom would make this for us all the time. Whenever we were kids going to a birthday party, this is the dish you would run towards, right? Pancit Canton is a Chinese-inspired noodle dish, very popular in the Philippines. The pancit, which is the noodle part, pancit, and then canton is the style of noodles, which is a Cantonese-style noodles. Has your proteins, shrimp, chicken, sausage, some veggies, seasoning with fish sauce, oyster sauce, kind of just bring it all together. A lot of flavors going on. Today I'm working with fresh noodles, but you could also work with dried noodles. This is something, it's just like storing dry pasta in your cupboard. So my mom would have packs of these dry noodles inside. When we wanted them, she would just pull them out. And you cook them just like any other type of pasta. If they're dry like this, you just bring your water up to a boil. But we're not gonna use these today. We are gonna use fresh. Well, they're all kind of together like this. It's like a bed of noodles or a pillow. I love this. I'm getting a facial. I feel like I just want to put my head on these pillow noodles and take a little break, but we're not. I'm gonna go right into the boiling water. Don't leave any noodles behind. No man left behind, no noodles left behind. I'm just gonna really just loosen them up like this and I'm gonna pull them out. The package says like 3-4 minutes, but I think that's too long. Don't try this at home. Don't stick your hand in boiling water. Look, these are already, see? Yeah. So we're just gonna put cold water over the hot noodles. What we're gonna do here, we're just stopping the cooking process, that's all. Our noodles are ready. I'm gonna prep the things that are going into our noodle dish. So we have onions and garlic, our aromatics or veggies. Onions, it's rolling, there's no flat side to the onion. So to be safe, I just like to trim off the top and bottom half, and it's always good to work with a sharp knife like this one. Now it's not rolling. When things are rolling, you have a moving target and you're trying to cut a moving target, very dangerous. Cut this in half. Just peel the outer skin. I follow the lines here and just slice the onions. I've cut many onions. I've walked into restaurants where the new guy, right, they give you a case of shallots, not even onions, and basically cut this case of shallots, and when you're done, you could come talk to us. I'm like, oh, okay. The way you slice them like this, like you want them nice and thin, uniform. So I have a head of garlic. I just use the side of my knife and just kind of smash, right? See, you hear that? And that's it, and the paper comes right off. I'm just gonna slice it just a little bit. We have our garlic, we have our onions. Now we're gonna get into sausage land. Sausage land, I love sausage. This is a great sausage. This is called lapchong. It's a Chinese style sausage. It's basically pork fat, sugar, salt, some soy sauce. That's all. That's all that's in there. It's a cured sausage, so you could eat it like this. But we're gonna saute these. We're gonna crisp them up a little bit, render out some of that fat, and again, use that fat to kind of flavor the rest of our dish. Just cut on the bias. The bias is a very, very complicated term. All it means, it's basically, instead of cutting the sausage straight like this, we're just gonna turn, you see that? And you see that? People like to see, I guess, that more than that. But it's not only because it's how it looks, but it's the surface area. You get more surface area. Turn your knife to about a 45-degree angle, and we're gonna slice. So each sausage now has more surface area. It looks like it came from a much larger sausage. This is just the skin, which is okay, the casing. That's all it is. Cutting it on an angle, on the bias. So here I have a lime. Lime will add some acidity to our dish. Typically, classically in the Philippines, what we would use instead of lime, we have our own version of a lime that's calamansi. It's almost the size of a kumquat, but more round. And it's the same color as a lime pretty much. But when you slice inside of a calamansi, it almost looks like a tangerine or a nectarine. It's orange inside. I'm just gonna make some wedges. We're gonna use this at the end, probably just garnish. Man, you guys, this is what I call like a nice stocked fridge. Found a few things in the fridge. Carrots, some scallions, bok choy, and I found this too, this mysterious liquid in a brown bottle. Not necessary for the noodles, necessary for the chef. I have scallions here. I'm gonna use the tops for garnish at the end. Again, we're slicing on the bias. Remember that fancy word, on the bias? And as you can see here, it kind of changes the way our scallions look, our garnish, That will go at the end, but it's nice. You want to prep everything up now, because once we turn this on and get that hot, you don't want to have a knife nearby. You don't need to prep anything. Everything should be all done for you, and we're just going to cook 1, 2, 3. This is the best part. There's two things we could do here. One is I'm going to cut this into like 1-inch pieces on the bias. So we have these, and we're going to throw those in with our onions. So I left this one, and this became a big kind of hobby of mine during the start of COVID. You just put them in a cup of water like this. Just imagine it's not oil, but just water maybe halfway up so the roots are in the water. And then in a week's time, you're gonna have scallions like this. In 2 weeks, you'll have full scallions, and they just keep regenerating.
Bok choy too.
Bok choy, yeah, bok choy too, that's right. You could put that, that's right, bok choy. You could do the same thing with that. Tag us on Instagram if you guys grow anything in your kitchen. I mean, anything. Bok choy is a cabbage, a Chinese cabbage, dark leafy greens on top, and you have this crunchy bottom here. I just cut it like this, and I'm gonna cut this again. I just want to separate it. Like this is a fine, that's an okay size. And you could eat the whole part, the heart, I guess, in the middle there. We're gonna cut it on the bias. That's what we're gonna do. Carrots. How could I forget about carrots? I didn't forget about carrots. And guess how we're gonna cut these? That's right, on the bias. We're gonna cut it lengthwise. We're looking for that right size, right? About the same thickness. Why do we want that? Not just because it looks cool, but we wanna promote even cooking, right? Everything wants to cook around the same time. So we don't wanna throw, like, I'm not gonna throw this in the mix and expect this to be cooked the same way we cook the other parts, right? So that's how you gotta think about it when you're slicing your vegetables, when you're slicing your protein. Not just with this dish, almost any other dish. I love fridges. Hold on, I'm coming back. Just give me a few minutes here. Our chicken has magically been prepped already. So this started as a chicken breast about that big. How do you think we sliced it? On the bias. So we have shrimp. These are 1620. 1620s mean basically that you get 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. We're gonna clean these shrimp now. Buy raw shrimp. They call it the shell and the tail on, shell, tail on. If you get the head is fine too. Those look cool, they have flavor, they add flavor to your dish. We're gonna peel the shell. I'm just doing one here, but if you have a whole bunch like this, what you could do is do this under running water, keep them cold. Like if I were gonna fry these, I would probably leave the tail on, you know, put them in like a batter and then fry them. And when they come out, they look pretty cool. They have the tail, you could use the tail as kind of like a handle, and then eat the shrimp, right? But if you're doing this in a noodle dish, I don't wanna have to remove the tails, right? I'd rather just take it off now in the beginning. So I'm just gonna squeeze, and it pops right out. And there's one more thing in the shrimp you wanna clean. This is like on the top of the shrimp here, this is their, I guess, how would you say, the digestive tract. So we're just gonna make a little incision. And you don't only have to use a big knife like this, you could use a smaller knife. And then you see I got the digestive tract. Now it's time to dance. So that's what we're gonna do. This is getting hot. The carbon steel is really hot. I could smell some kind of aroma from that. I'm gonna add a neutral oil. A neutral oil meaning canola, veg, grapeseed. Non-neutral oil would be like olive oil, right? There's two reasons why you do not wanna use that here is because it has a low smoke point. So that means we can't turn up the wok as hot as we want like we have it now. And it's seasoned. It has a very strong flavor to it, which is great, but just not for this dish. I'm gonna go in the garlic and let's go with our onions and scallions. Oh, and I can already smell that, right? The garlic is already brown, so it's seasoning. What's telling me it's seasoning that oil that it's being cooked in right now. I can smell all those aromas, it smells great. Let's go in with some sausage. Remember, these are fully cooked already. But what I wanna do, I'm putting this sausage in because I wanna render out the fat, right? The sausage is made from pork meat and pork fat. So there's sugar in there, so it is gonna caramelize. That's what we're looking for. Protein takes longer time to cook than our vegetables, so chicken. But you hear that sound, you definitely wanna hear that sound. At home, don't be afraid, you know, turn up your burners at home. You have to turn it up because you wanna get that high heat. That high heat is really what stir-fry cooking is all about. It's a really quick cooking method. Shrimp, do shrimp next. The chicken, the shrimp, they're not fully cooked at all yet. They still need time to cook, but that's okay because we're gonna cook everything else. So at this point, I would say they're par cooked about 50% of the way. Carrots, let's go with our carrots, right? And I like carrots with a little crunch. I don't wanna bite into a mushy carrot, but I don't want a raw carrot either. Bok choy cooks 1, 2, 3. Forearm, yes, working it out. This is, yes, definitely a good workout. And don't be afraid, if you can't do this at home, that's okay. You could use your tongs, you know, stir that up. Now we're ready for the best part, the noodles. So we're gonna go in with our noodles. Ah, you know what? All the noodles, all the noodles. Leave no noodle behind. I like to have a lot of things, like a lot of little treasures inside of the noodles, you know? So I think this is a nice amount of stuff in there right now. I'm gonna hit it with a little chicken stock. If you don't have chicken stock, you could use water. If you wanted to omit these proteins and keep it vegetarian, you could use a veg stock. Broth stock, you know, anything that has flavor, right? Because what we're doing, just like in any type of cooking, we're building up the flavors. And what this is doing now, you heard the sizzling stop, which is okay. It's gonna sizzle again in a minute. But now it's kind of just rehydrating everything, bringing it all together. It gets heavier with the noodles. Oyster sauce. So now if you're keeping this vegetarian, You don't have to put the oyster sauce because oyster sauce derived from oysters. Yes, 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 it's true. And that essence of oyster is basically this really salty umami flavor. Fish sauce, you don't have to use fish sauce, but to me, fish sauce is one of my favorite ingredients. It's basically like a liquid salt. Last but not least, a little bit of soy. If it was a desert island, for real desert island.
Yeah, you're making noodles forever on a desert island. And you can only have one noodle.
Oh, I know exactly what it would be. It would be the soy sauce, because I can make my own fish sauce, and I can make my own oyster sauce too. Right, I go in the ocean, I love to swim, get some fish. That should be my next like at-home windowsill project, is fish sauce. Probably get kicked out of my building, but our dish is done. And you don't want to leave this in here. You know why? Because it's really hot. It's going to continue cooking. Key ingredient, black pepper and pancit. I'm gonna hit it with a little lime now. It's time to plate. Just one portion for me. But this would go for like 4 people. All right, I'm gonna do a bite with the noodles. I'll come back with the shrimp. Delicious, reminds me of mom's. So I'm getting the flavors from the soy sauce, you know, the oyster sauce, the fish sauce, they're all coming through. But then the acidity from the lime just kind of like tones the whole thing out. It's this really cool flavor. A lot of flavors going on. What else would you like to see me make? Let us know in the comments below. Anything, I can make anything, well, almost anything. Well, let me know and we'll go back and forth, we'll figure something out. Noodles, yeah.